I started this last night on ebook in bed, and I was trying to decide if I was going to vlog about it or not. Bride by Hazelwood is one of my most anticipated releases for 2024, so I was really excited. I got the paperback from the library and I also got the ebook from the library at the same time. I absolutely love having multiple formats of the same book. If I can get the trifecta, which is audiobook, ebook, and physical, I am so happy because, I'm just on the go and busy sometimes. And so it's nice to switch to audio, or if I'm laying in bed, I want to do the ebook because it's light and it's lightweight to hold and it's not super bright as my book light. But like during the day, there's something like special about holding a book. Anyways, so since I started it last night in bed, I was like, well, I don't know if I'll do a vlog for it or not since I didn't get to start it with you guys, but it is so good and I cannot not do a vlog about it because I already want to talk about it. So if you're not familiar with Hazelwood, she writes romance. I fell in love with her first series, or her first book, I guess, which was The Love Hypothesis, and it focuses on a woman in STEM and a romance, and that one has fake dating in it as well. A fun fact about Hazelwood, she is a neuroscientist, so she is a woman in STEM. She is badass, honestly. And she writes books as well. So she wrote the first book, which is a STEM romance. Adored it. Then she released a set of novellas that was called the STEMinist or something like that, the STEMinist series, or it was basically like feminist plus STEM, and it was 3 novellas, and I read all 3 of those. I basically read all of her books at this point. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with them, but it's mostly love, not really hate. But I'm trash for them. Absolutely love them. I have fun reading them. So I acknowledge that they're not the perfect books, but I still have fun. All that said, so then she released, those were all adult books, and then she released a young adult book last year, which I read, called Check and Mate. And that one focused on teenagers that were chess competitors. Loved it. That was so cute. And it was a different, fresh plot. They still kind of fit some of her physical descriptors. Those haven't changed a whole lot. So her characters kind of look the same in my head. But it did have kind of a fresh plot compared to her adult books. So that was cute. I really enjoyed it and highly recommend that one as well. That was super fun. But this book, what we're here for today, Bride, this is her first fantasy romance book, and I am intrigued because she's only wrote adult romance and then that y'all romance, but everything's been set in contemporary, and this is going to be really hard to make it as similar as her other books. So I am just super intrigued. I love the cover for this one. Yeah, so I was hyped for it. So anyways, I started reading this with some friends. So I'm a part of the Bookkeepers community, which is this exclusive community you can join. They have enrollment twice a year, so you can join in May, which is I guess the next one coming up, and then you can join in November as well. But it's this exclusive bookish community. It's hosted on Discord, and we do all kinds of stuff like bookish swaps, where we do gift each other different books and book related things. We have tons of buddy reads every month. I think last month we had 6 different buddy reads going on between different members of the group. We do in-person retreats every year. So anyways, it's just this very intentional community that I'm a part of. And we decided to buddy read this one because I got my holds in, and I knew a bunch of other people had read her books as well. And I was just yo, does anybody want to buddy read this? Because I just got my copies in and I feel like I'm going to talk about it. And so anyways, we're all reading it together and discussing it in the Discord, and it's fun. Okay, so if you don't know anything about this book, the general gist of what's going on is the world is made up of 3 different creatures that I know of. You have your humans, which are the most populous in number. And then you have werewolves, which are the second most populous. And the werewolves are super strong. And then you have the vampires. And the vampires, they are kind of facing extinction. They are having a hard time producing children, etc. And they are, kind of the frailest of the bunch. Well, The werewolves and the vampires hate each other. They have like this long-going feud.
Edward?
If you ever touch her against her will again.
Don't do this!
She's not sure what she wants.
Don't do this
Let me
here.
give you a clue. Wait for her to say the words.
Fine.
The last time they tried to come up with an alliance, they had one of their own each marry each other, and that wedding ended up in a massacre. So their peace has been fraught for a while. But the vampires have been aligned with the humans. And because the humans are so great in number, that's kind of kept the werewolves at bay. As part of the agreement for the humans and vampire, like, collaboration, what they do is they send a child of someone important from each family to live with the other, kind of like a foreign exchange program, I guess. And, you know, basically, like, if you break the peace, we'll kill your kid kind of deal. So our main character, her name is Misery. Misery is sent to the human world as this collateral and basically grows up with humans. And so that's where she's been. And now in our present day, where our story kicks off, she's like 25 or 26 years old, and her father calls her home, and she's kind of an outcast from the vampires because she was essentially raised with humans, so they don't really like her. So she's kind of like this I've got no home type trope, you know? And so Misery comes home and her dad's like, we have a problem because who was in charge of the humans and our peace negotiation stuff, the governor, he is being usurped essentially by like a new governor, and they don't want to be like our allies anymore, and the werewolves are like super strong and awesome, and so they are going to, you know, kill us if we don't do something. And then what they've realized is that the werewolves have a new alpha as well, and the new alpha is open to some type of peace negotiation with the vampires, and the alpha has agreed to marry any vampire woman basically as like a show of good faith. And so that's where the story takes off, is our girl, our main character, Misery, is agreeing to marry this wolf. This jumps straight off into that marriage, okay? The prologue is the wedding, and she has never seen him until the day she's walking down the aisle is when she sees him. And everyone's expecting this to kind of go crazy. So that's set up for the novel. I'm not gonna like spoil anything else. I told you mostly what's on the blurb, which is like a tiny bit extra to get you hyped for it because I'm hyped for it. That's kind of the gist. So it's I'm guessing, gonna be an enemies to lovers type of situation between the werewolf and the vampires. What I love about Ali Hazelwood's books is that she does character voice really well. And what I mean by that is, so you often say characters have voice in a book if you can like easily pick out their dialogue without using dialogue tags, or you feel like you truly know that character and their personality, or like how they would respond in certain situations because they are written in a way that just really reflects to the reader who they are at their core. And so that's essentially having strong voice. So Ali Hazelwood, her characters, when you were reading them, have super strong voice. And I fell in love with Misery right in the prologue and chapter 1. Most of the book so far is through her POV, that we're getting little tiny snippets from the alpha wolf. But I just love the banter and the dialogue that Ali writes in her books, and I think that's what makes them so fun. And it's also neat too because her character in here, even though she is a vampire, she's very techie. And I didn't really expect that, but it really fits because I mean Ali Hazelwood herself is a neuroscientist, so like her character should be smart and geeky and just, you know, I'm just here for it. So our main character, she's like a hacker, essentially a very great hacker. So you get little aspects of that into it, and I felt like that's true to like Ali Hazelwood's style, but not feeling too repetitive of her other books. So I appreciate that little like bit of herself in the book. Anyways, I'm at chapter 10 this far into the book, and without further ado, I am going to read some before dinner because Derek's turn to cook, so I don't have to cook dinner for the family tonight and can sit and read for just a little bit before eating and spending time with the family. Oh my gosh. In chapter 10, there is this scene with peanut butter, and it is so hilarious. I'm surprised that I even like the scene. I am deathly allergic to peanut butter. Like, it will kill me. So typically I'm pretty biased against scenes with that, but there's a scene with peanut butter in chapter 10, and it is hilarious. Alright, I moved outside to the porch because it feels not freezing out here, and we have a bunch of feral kitties that hang around, and the boy cats have been harassing the girl cats. So if I stay out here, I can keep the big boys away and let the girls just like eat and hang out in peace. So I thought I would just move out here for a bit. I'm about to be on chapter 12. Super distracting and noisy, and I've run off the boys, shooed them, had tons of kitty visitors while being out here, so I'm not sure if this was less distracting than the kids indoors or not. But this book is so cute. I just keep cheesing and blushing, and there's some flirting going on. And I kind of love it when something is super obvious to the reader and the one of the characters is just completely oblivious. And I think that is just hilarious, and it's fun to kind of like be in the know when you know the character is not in the know. So there's a little bit of a, I don't know if I would quite consider it a miscommunication trope, but I can tell that Misery, the female main character, definitely has something misunderstood, and it is cracking me up with the dialogue. I feel like I'm going to be blushing a lot more with the rest of this. Look, I'm on chapter 14, so I feel like I'm halfway. I don't want to go too far because I don't want to accidentally see the end, so I'm not exactly sure how many pages it is, but I feel like that's about halfway. I have been thinking about this book all day. It's been a super busy day. Tuesdays are family day around here, and I had a lot of errands to run, so spent the day homeschooling, ran the errands, family night, and I do have to make some cookies in a little bit, so I won't be able to read completely uninterrupted. But so I finished off, I'm at chapter 20 of Bride, or 21 is where I'm at. Finished 20 last night, so I'm like 60% in what I would estimate. Still loving it. I've also decided I think I'm really into werewolf romance. I haven't read a lot of werewolf romance before. I've read Wolfsong, which I absolutely love. I've read book 1 and 2. I still need to finish that series. But like the fact that the male just like turns into this big puppy dog and is like cuddly, I'm here for it. It's like the most ridiculous thing, but it is so cute. And so still having fun with it, and I would like to finish it tonight, but we will see. Okay, I just got to the end of chapter 22, and I'm a little confused on what happened here. And like I said, I am reading this as a buddy read with some friends, and I had to send a message to the group to ask them if what I think happened just happened at the end of that chapter, and that's really a sentence I didn't expect to type to a group of people ever. Yeah, so I'm just not really sure. I'm guessing that's going to get explained more. I'm going to have to stop there for a minute. I don't even know what to do with myself. But I have to go cook cookies for the children, and I'll just be here figuring out what happened. There we have it, a s'mores cookie. This is our first time trying these. My youngest son, who's 13, found this on YouTube Shorts, and this was his request for family night with some s'mores cookies. So, yum yum, let's enjoy. Well, I finished. I was so close to finishing this last night. I really thought I was going to, but I was reading in bed and I was starting to get very sleepy, and I looked at my Kindle and it said I had 30 minutes left, and I was like, oh, I didn't want to push through because like I wanted to not miss the ending because I was loving it, but at the same time like I was just so into it. But anyways, I made the better choice and I went to bed, and then today I finished reading on my Kindle while I did my walk on the treadmill. I didn't get to talk right away because I had to go get my youngest son from school when we just got home. So like here I am still in my workout clothes because I need to talk about it. Okay, so just a general review. I am going to get more specific in a minute, but I'll let you know so that if you don't want any spoilers, you can, stop watching. But just like generally speaking, this book was so addictive and so fun. It's also though like kind of basic. Like I have like nitpicky things. I did feel like it was predictable. Some of the side characters are honestly kind of forgettable. Like if I like stopped reading and like went away, I kind of forgot about some of the characters until I was back in here, and I was like, oh my gosh, I love those characters. So it's this weird like effect where like when I'm reading it, I was like, yes, here for it, and I set it down. It's like I could only remember the main characters and not any of the other people besides like two. So I don't really know why that is. And then there were a few cheesy parts, and there was some general confusion around nodding. And if you read werewolf romance, you probably know what that is, and it may not be confusing to you, but that was a whole new concept to me, and I don't know that she did a great job at explaining that to a novice like myself. So that was kind of weird and not explained very well, and then in moments where I think it was meant to be sexy, it was funny. It took away from the sexy part. Those are my critiques. All of that said, I had so fun reading this. I could not stop. It's all I thought about. I'm telling all my friends about it. I'm buying it for people to read with me. Like I'm telling you, I'm obsessed. I had so much fun even with all that aside. So like I can't give it 5 stars because like I said, predictable. I had those few issues. But that said, I'm probably going to give it a 4.75 because that was my level of enjoyment. And this is just, my message to you that it's okay to rate books high, even if they're not perfect books, because you just had fun, because that's what reading is about. It's just about having fun. So this romance, it does have some sexy scenes on the page and a lot of tension. It did really great enemies to lovers trope, if you're into that. And werewolf, who knew? Like I think I need more werewolf romance in my life. So like please send me any recommendations you have, especially if you read this and kind of like know similar recs. Yeah, it was fantastic. Okay. You'll probably notice too in some of the videos of the time lapse, like I'm telling you, I was just grinning while I was reading this. It's just so ridiculously cheerful, happy, I guess. Like a low stakes fantasy. I mean, some things are going on, but it feels pretty low stakes as far as like issues. And it's just cute. It's just cute. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit more specific for those that have either already read the book or don't care to read the book and are just here for a good time. I'm going to tell you some spoilers. So I didn't love the virgin trope. That was in there. I didn't love that. My issues with the nodding. So like the nodding scenes, like the images weren't imaging, if you know what I mean. Like I was super confused on like what it was, like what she was seeing in those early scenes. I don't know. It just was not descriptive enough for me in the early parts. And then, in the ending scenes, when we finally get them together and the nodding, it is explained more and I like understand what's happening. But some of the dialogue that the male character was using in this sex scene, it just made me laugh. It totally took me out of like the heat and spice of the moment, and it just made me laugh. And I don't think that was the intention of the author. So that was just funny and weird to me. So the whole nodding was just, I don't know what I think about that. Yeah. Other than that though, like their romance and their chemistry together was spicy. I loved all of their scenes and their forced proximity and the little moments they got themselves stuck in, like him coming to cuddle in her closet, or whenever they were in the enemy wear territory and he and her had to, you know, pretend like they were making out when they were doing some espionage. All of that stuff was just like very hot and very, very fun. What I love about Allie Hazelwood, and this is true in her other series too, and it came through here, was the dialogue and the banter. I just love her main characters. They are easy to root for, they're easy to like, and I just couldn't get enough of them. So her books are just, they're just easy and fun, and I love that. So this one's told mostly from the female. Her name is Misery. It's told from Misery's POV. At the beginning of each chapter, though, it gives you a little snippet of Lo, the male character's POV, and those were really cute. And then the epilogue is from his as well. So I did appreciate getting little glimpses into his mind. And I liked that Misery had a twin brother. That was very neat. And I loved their dynamic all the way through the whole book. Oh, Serena, her friend Serena. Okay, so if you've read Sarah J. Maas' Crescent City series, Serena in this book is like reminded me of Danica from that series. If you haven't read that series, I won't say anything more, but if you know, you're gonna crack up at that the way I did because she totally felt like Danica. Serena, her character, once we get to see Misery and Serena on the page together, I love that friendship, BFF, chemistry between them. It came across very authentic and reminded me of like how me and my friends talk with each other and interact with each other. So that was very authentic to them, and I liked how they wrapped up Serena's storyline in this book. And if you got to the end, you know, are we getting a book 2? Because that epilogue, first off, I was really happy we didn't have an epilogue baby because I do not love those in romance. But this epilogue is like hinting at a second book. I haven't seen any official announcement yet, but I will read that and very excited. I'm hoping that this one soars off the charts and that people love it and that her publishers buy a second book, because this is pitched as a standalone, but the ending left it open to where maybe book 2 could be about some different characters. And I have to say, I can't believe I'm saying this. I think one of my favorite scenes in this book is the peanut butter scene. And I didn't think that an author could make me enjoy a peanut butter scene, but that was hilarious. And the way that it just like continues to play, and then she ends up getting poisoned by peanut butter as well. It was just genius and clever. I just don't know what to do. I'm just gonna be silly about this book because that's how this book makes me feel. It makes me feel silly and ridiculous, and I enjoyed it. So anyways, if you've read Bride, let me know. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with my assessment? And what's your vibe?